When MWA KENYA came to Kenya, I was around 25 years. I was in my mid-20s. I'm later told that entering an exam room with papers that will assist you pass the exam is called MWA KENYA. I've just remembered about MWA KENYA, especially the original MWA KENYA, because of what I saw yesterday in a Ugandan court. Now, I want to name this video MWA Uganda, not MWA KENYA, but MWA Uganda. It was a very shocking thing. But before we talk about Kiiza Besiegye and the condition that he was in the Kampala law court yesterday, allow me to explain the three. MWA KENYA original, MWA KENYA what other people later came to call it, and what is now happening in Uganda, which I decided to call it MWA Uganda. A lot of my viewers want to know what happened those days. God has given me a photographic mind that I can transport you from these days of artificial intelligence. I can transport you to mid-80s and you feel as though you are there effortlessly. But then something has just come up. If you look at the way Kiiza Besiegye was yesterday in a Ugandan court, that is the easiest way of transporting somebody who is 25 years old or in the mid-20s to a situation that Kenya was in during the MWA KENYA time. Everything, it is just a nightmare that I saw yesterday and was very shocked. My age mates, those who do not have photographic mind, we understand if they had forgotten that one and they can even swear nothing like that can happen or could happen or whatever. That one happened in Uganda. Now, during those days, there was a clandestine organization that was meant to overthrow the government of Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. It was called Muungano wa Wazalendo wa Kukomboa Kenya, or a name like that. So in short, it was called MWA KENYA. And it had a newspaper, which used to be called Pambana. Pambana. So they used to use the cell system, whereby they would print information. They would print information and pass it out to other people. The publication was Pambana, the organization was MWA KENYA. I don't know why people forgot the name Pambana and stuck to MWA KENYA. So it continued that way for quite some time. So they used to have these papers that they would print in a form of a newsletter, which I said is called Pambana. Pambana in Swahili means struggle. Struggle. Muungano wa Wazalendo wa Kukomboa Kenya. Unity of patriots who will liberate Kenya. I think that is the best translation one can make. So later on, students started smuggling papers into the exam room. And the way they were smuggling the papers was they were smuggling the same way that MWA KENYA used to smuggle. Even if you check them, you don't find the papers. But when you go into the classroom, exam room, you find that they have the answer sheets, the answers to the exams. So people are saying that they are being smuggled the way MWA KENYA literature was being smuggled. And that is why exam cheating got the name MWA Kenya. Now you know that is MWA Kenya, the second part. Now the third one, which is MWA Uganda, is what I saw on TV yesterday from where I am, a place, they'll come for me, or somewhere near Webuye. So anybody wanting to remember somebody wanting to remember MWA Kenya, or somebody wanting to learn about MWA Kenya, the easiest way I can tell you is just look at what Kiiza Besiegye underwent yesterday in a Ugandan court. Watching the video from where I am, I felt that the pain of Kiiza more than the magistrate who was present. That is, I here in Webuye felt the pain looking at a TV screen of what is the pain that Kiiza Besiegye is going through more than the magistrate, the lady magistrate, who was just next to him. Yesterday she was the manifestation of what a court is. Those who have learned law, or those who have dealt with the law, we are told that the judicial officer in this case is a magistrate or a judge or even a Kathy. A judicial officer is not supposed to be living in the country. A judicial officer, a magistrate or a judge, is supposed to make a decision from 2 points only. A judicial officer is supposed to make a decision based on law and based on evidence presented. For example, you are in the High Court and there is a blackout. Unless you prove it through debate to the magistrate or the judge that there is a blackout, the magistrate or the judge, or that is the judicial officer, will assume that there is power going on throughout. Now, I want to compare. I compared the Kiiza Besiegye, who was in the General Court Martial, and the Kiiza Besiegye, who was in the Magistrates Court, Kampala Magistrate Court. The Kiiza Besiegye in the Magistrate Court was finished. There are many times I saw him, he looked as though he was absent-minded. In the General Court Martial, Kiiza Besiegye participated in the proceedings. You could see him conversing with his fellow detainees. You could see him conversing with his lawyers. Yes, there's even a time, especially the time when he was being asked whether he pleads guilty or not to the charges, he was given a microphone of which he talked to the General Court Martial, answering to that. During the General Court Martial, the Kiiza Besiegye who was there was a healthy person, his mind was there. He could monitor, he could participate in what was happening. But you could see, even when entering, in the General Court Martial, you'd see when entering and leaving the Court Martial, he would wave at the crowd and flash the victory sign, the two-finger victory sign. And he would even, I don't think he used to sing, but there's a way he would wave, and that would be a signal to those people who are around who would sing a song that we shall overcome, and Museveni shall one day die. But that is how he was entering the court martial. But then this time around, if you looked at him when he entered the magistrate's court, he reminded me of the several cases that I handled in North Rift, Kenya, in the early 80s, where a Turkana would enter a court. He doesn't know that that is a court. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't, yani, and you talk in English, he's absent-minded until somebody translates what is happening in vernacular. And even after translating that, the Turkanas never got the idea fully. Because I remember one time, a Turkana was jailed for 6 months, and he inquired if there is food where he's going, and if there is a place to sleep, and if the bandits would follow him. He was told the place is safe. Then he said, instead of jailing, ongeza ine. Those who have been to Northern Rift know that. Umefunga mimi miezi 6, ongeza ine. That is, you have jailed me for 6 months. If there is food, there is a place to sleep, and the bandits will not come to pursue me, then I'd rather you add 4 more to make 10. So you find that that is how the Turkanas were. But the Dr. Kiiza Besiegye, a surgeon, the one who was in court yesterday, he looked like a ghost. He looked absent-minded. He looked as though he didn't know what was being discussed. That one I saw yesterday. And it is funny that the magistrate did not notice that. A law student watching the magistrate would not believe his or her eyes or even ears. Here is a person unable to stand up, looks as confused as a drunk, and both the magistrate and the state behaves as though nothing is happening. You could just see. The fellow was just like he would collapse, he would even die anytime. Yeah, a few hours later, he was rushed to a private hospital. That is how things are. But you see, the magistrate did not notice that, even without being told. The magistrate did not notice that. The state council did not notice that. And I have to add again here that while we were being trained to be police inspectors, we were told that there are some people, APs, KWS, KFS, and others, they do not have cells. But when they arrest somebody and he comes to your cell, and the person appears to your eyes to be beaten up or not healthy or whatever, you insist that the person be taken to hospital first so that you are given a healthy person. The magistrate never noticed anything. She was relying on evidence to be given. The CDF, who is the son to the president, may have let the cat out of the bag by saying that Kiiza Besiegye will die in Luzira. The way things stand now, people die. I can even die today. Who knows if by the time you're watching this video, I'll be alive. People die. But you see, when you talk such things and things happen that way, it would be very hard to convince anybody that that person had died a natural death. But kwa kiburi chake, he doesn't know that should be Kiiza Besiegye die in prison, there'll be a revolution. I tell you. Let me repeat. Kiiza Besiegye leaving jail healthy is more beneficial to the Musevenis than if he leaves Luzira in a coffin. I'm telling you, it happens that way. The Museveni family cannot rule Uganda for the next 12 months. It will, is it called implode or explode or whatever, but italipuka. Sorry for those who don't understand Swahili. So, This fellow talks rudely, not knowing that should anything happen to Kiiza Besiegye, there'll be an explosion in Uganda. But the pleasing thing to the Musevenis is that your house along Wanye Close in Dagoretti is still there. Or will you prefer the house in Jamhuri Estate? Yes, you used to stay in Jamhuri Estate, you used to stay in Wanye Close, near Wanye Road. But then you want to, there are these lies that you used to stay in Riverside. Yeah, Riverside, you may have bought the houses there after becoming president or something. But the way you those 80s, you used to be a nobody. The lady magistrate had selective minds. On one hand, she could not notice that Kiiza Besiegye, who is sick and on bond, had prison warders. Yet she said that she was proceeding, award cognizance to the fact that come Thursday he may still be in prison or not. Can I repeat that bit by bit? She had a selective mind where, just like counting, you count odd, even, odd, even, odd, even. Now, on one time, she has noticed that Kiiza Besiegye is under prison. But when asked upon to inquire why the prison people are doing that, because Kiiza Besiegye, in all jurisdiction, the people who are supposed to surround him the way they were surrounding him are the sureties, the people who stood surety for him, are the ones who are supposed to stand him. Now, she doesn't notice that. Then again says that, I'll come to that, but she says she does not know whether when the day arrives, whether Kiiza Besiegye will still be under prison or not. So she's giving out instructions which will be open. She was even using the word that I'm not blind to the fact. So that if Thursday arrives and Kiiza Besiegye is still under prison custody, the prison releases him. But if it reaches Thursday and Kiiza Besiegye has been released, then the sureties are the ones who are supposed to bring. What a contradiction. And you see, people go to courts to remove contradiction. And here is the Madam Magistrate who is bringing in contradictions. She places the judiciary, the Ugandan judiciary, at the mercy of the prisons authority. She says, if the day of appearing comes, if he will still be with the prison, then you can bring him. But if the prison will have released him, then the sureties have got to. In any jurisdiction, apart from a dictatorship, of which Uganda is a dictatorship, in any jurisdiction, a democracy, prisons, among others, work under, they are subordinate to courts. That is why she's a magistrate. They are judges of the High Court all the way to Supreme Court. But there is only one prison boss, Commissioner General. And when she enters a hall, when she enters a court, he stands up. It's because she's representing a superior body, which is, but now she's placing it, the prisons above the judiciary. And you know, judiciary acts in a very funny way. Judiciary acts several ways. One is that they follow their country's constitution and laws. Second, they follow the constitutions and laws of similar jurisdictions. If you have a case in a high court and the country you are having does not cover such a crime, then the judiciary, those who study law, will tell you that they are allowed to borrow from a country of a similar jurisdiction to convict or to discharge you. So she's placing it in a very fun way, because in the future, a judge or a magistrate, especially a magistrate of her level or lower than her, will be unable to, we may even use that as an excuse to circumvent the law. Her motherly love could not see the urgency of disposing of the case. Yeah, this is what I was saying, that I'll cover that again. Women by nature, they are very sympathetic. They are the people who, we have even cases where wanasema unajikaza kimwanaume. Oh, sorry. Many of my subscribers don't speak Swahili. There is a way men are told to be manly, eh? But you see, a lady will just look at you and conclude that you must be sick. Even if you're whatever, you must be. They have, our sisters have the capacity of seeing things through feelings. Even with her motherly love, she could not see the urgency of disposing of the case. She even suggested that she's going to make a decision in 2 weeks. And you see, she's deciding to make a decision in 2 weeks, and 2 hours from that time, Kiiza Besiegye was rushed to an ICU. Although she later changed it from 2 weeks to 1 week, Thursday. Museveni, more than anybody else, Museveni more than anybody else should pray to God that Kiiza Besiegye does not die in Luzira. I'm saying that early and before it happens. I would recommend Uganda Law Society to deregister the prosecutor. This is the way the prosecutor was reasoning. Kenya, we had such people. And actually one of them, we made him even the Chief Justice, Bernard Chunga. For those of you, I'll go back to Nyayo House and MWA Kenya days. Someone would be taken to court and you'd see this person is so weak and so much unable. But the magistrate would ignore that. And the prosecutors, most of the cases used to be taken up by Bernard Chunga. Used to be taken up by Bernard Chunga, unless the cases are too more for him to handle. So he could look at those which are easier and give it to other person. So that is why I'm saying that the Uganda Law Society should deregister that prosecutor as a lawyer. And of course, I don't know about Uganda, but in many countries, you cannot be a public prosecutor if the law society of that country does not recognize you. The prosecutor could not cite a clause to explain the legal provisions of the Kiiza Besiegye, because Kiiza Besiege's defense team was saying that for someone to be in prison or legal custody, it has to be in two terms. One, he has to be facing a criminal charge as a remandee, or two, he has to be a convicted person. So, cases where this person, even the prison authority do not know, what offense he is in Luzira. And then he argues and says whatever. And they say that injustice to one is injustice to all. He could not cite a clause to explain the legal provision of Kiiza Besiegye. Is Dr. Kiiza Besiegye under legal custody? If yes, where is the detention warrant? Because once you are jailed for 4 years. The law courts states that you have been jailed for 4 years, and that warrant is taken to committee. If you are in Kenya, will be taken to committee, whereby you will stay there for 4 years until the end of that 4 years, and then, or if you are remandee, you are taken to committee, industrial area, Nairobi, that is, remand home, where the officer in charge of remand home is told, keep this person while pending his case. Once the case is over, then the court will release him. Is Dr. Kiiza Besiegye under legal custody? If yes, where is the detention warrant? If yes, why doesn't the court release Dr. Kiiza Besiege's surety? If truly that Kiiza Besiegye is detained for any offense, then you see he had taken he was out on bond with some sureties. Now, if he has been arrested for other things and whatever, he is no longer in the custody of the sureties. So sureties should withdraw their surety, and if there is any title deed or any money they have deposited, it should be returned to him. Now the question here is, supposing his appearance days arrive, that is Thursday, and the prison authorities, which has broken the law by unlawfully detaining him, fails to produce him, what effect will it have it on the sureties? You know, sureties entered, they gave out title deeds, logbooks, and money, stating that they are going to make sure that should he be needed in court, they'll produce him. Now, he's not under them. By the way, if you stand surety for anybody and he's released, you go near a bar, you find him drinking beer, you can tell him, go home. Go home. You have taken enough beer. Go home. If he refuses, you go to the same court and say, I'm withdrawing my surety. He becomes more or less like your detainee. And if he does anything wrong, it is you to be answerable. Yes, he is answerable. The accused person or the suspect is answerable to what he did, but you yourself will also be answerable. You are called upon and told to explain why the government cannot forfeit your bond. Now, supposing Thursday arrives and Kiiza Besiegye is not taken to court, don't you think the sureties will lose whatever they had given? And the prison which is detaining him illegally is is a non-interest, I mean, involved cases. Uganda, hata MWA Kenya during Moi's time was even better. Reference is made of Kiiza Besiege's sisters-in-law. In the evening, while they were talking about their brother-in-law being taken to a hospital, one read a written statement in English. I noticed the sister kept on pointing somewhere, and she was pointing. The one who was reading was pulling the paper aside. I thought that was an interesting thing, because was she trying to jump a thing? Was there a sentence that she was trying to jump a thing or anything? Why was the sister pointing something there and then this one pulling the paper aside? I found it was not proper. In Kenya, after a press conference, you go there with your papers, you read your press conference. When you have finished, you give out the paper. So I don't know whether the two sisters did that. The two sisters-in-law did that, because halfway through the press conference, they were told to repeat everything in Kiganda. And I don't understand Kiganda, so I opted out. Mine is to tell the Musevenis that they are both soldiers. They are both soldiers. They are both generals. And in fieldcraft, we were taught that the time when you feel you are very secure, that is the time when a sniper hits you. You have stayed, you have done everything, thinking that you are safe and fine, but know that that is your weakest time. Thank you.